You are now on board of the ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright, an exciting thrill ride through the wonderful world of HBCU sports and entertainment. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of Wild Wayne and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization or company. This podcast is for entertainment, informational purposes, and the promotion of the HBCU sports landscape and culture only. Hit that subscribe button and follow that up with the like button, and we welcome all participation in the comments section. Last but not least, tell some other folks that this show is on. That's it, that's all. Strap in because this ride begins right now.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another special night of The Ride here with Wild Wayne Cartwright. Hey, man, we are getting ourselves ever so closely to Media Day. SWAC Media Day, I will be there, looking forward to it. A lot of stuff came out with the SWAC today. We'll definitely get a chance to discuss that. You guys know, as you saw in the trailer, make sure you hit the like button. And if you're watching for the very first time, first off, welcome. Second of all, make sure you hit that subscribe button, man. Doing some big things here. This is called the Summer Madness episode because, at this time of year, everybody is kind of going a little bit crazy in madness with the summer. A lot of predictions going on out there. Obviously, I'll have my own. A lot of opinions out there about some of the things being said about some of the teams. People didn't like some of the things that were put out today with the SWAC, with the people who were named to the first and the second teams. All that stuff, man. Listen, it's madness. It's wild. It's part of generational, to talk and have a good time. It's a part of the culture. But tonight, I wanted to work with this gentleman last year. I know we weren't able to make everything kind of connect, but he's here tonight. You know him so very well. He is very, very passionate about the HBCU culture. He is a former head coach. I will still refer to him as coach because once you are a coach, you will always be a coach. And so tonight, it gives me great pleasure to welcome none other than Coach Teddy Keaton. Welcome, Coach. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, man. How you doing?
And I am blessed and highly favored, and I am just so grateful to be sitting here working with you. I've been a big fan of yours for at least a decade, just from even when you were working at your alma mater at Stillman. Just all the work that you've been able to do. You've been so very passionate. Every time you do an interview, a coach's call, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and that's something that I've always been a fan of. I just love the reality. I love the realness. And I love the fact that you love ball and you love family and you just love HBCU culture. And so welcome, man. I'm proud to be working with you tonight.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that. I don't know. You made it sound so good. Maybe I need to get you to break me out sometime when I'm doing something because I love the culture. I love everything about what we serve and who we serve and why we serve them. So it's always important. I think that God didn't give me, He blessed me with a football team, and He gave me 100 men that I get to affect every day. So I feel like I should always be proud of that blessing that's been given to me and make sure I carry it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's well said. So tonight, we're gonna have a good time and we're gonna talk about some things, man, that everybody out here talks about either daily or at least in periodic and in passing. Everything that we have in this time of year, everybody's getting ready for football. We know that
There's no doubt.
HBC, yeah, we know that there's HBCU athletics. We know that there's different sports out there, but we know the lifeblood, it seems like who we are and what we love to do is football. So we here, man. So what we gonna do, man? Let's get started tonight. Um, I'll go with, we kind of talk about this here like during the pre-show. I'll start off with let's go right here with the JUCO minimum GPA change, man. For those that don't know, I talked about this on my last show about how the NCAA has reduced the GPA requirement to transfer from JUCO from 2.5 down to 2.0. So coach, go ahead and elaborate on this as much as you want.
Well, last year they changed the rule for NCAA JUCO players. If they go in D1, they didn't lose any eligibility. So now, they get to play their 2 years of JUCO, possibly graduate, and get a 2.0 to get in school somewhere. And it kind of helps them. It's a gift and a curse to me. If you're looking at it from an academic standpoint, it really discredit. It makes it look like the NCAA didn't value the academic standpoint, and they buy into what I call money ball. But from a football standpoint, I don't think any coach in Division One is going to argue. He getting 2 years of eligibility, and plus he can argue with his administration that he could get this guy in with a 2.0 that may be able to help his team. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of that because I live by a set of policies that say I want to graduate a kid and bring it into school at a 2.0. And if I'm coaching at a school that has high academic standards, him coming in at 2.0 almost guarantees him the possibility that he might not make it. Because I think if you're just trying and you're breathing air, you can at least accomplish a 2.5.
Yeah. And for myself, when I first saw this, I kind of, it's interesting what you said about, trying to get players in. And, it was the first thing I thought was, I said, this is just par for the course of how things are being shaped in this day and age, where things are being driven by, let's just call it for what it is, money. Money is been driving a lot. And it's not so much about money so much when we're talking about like NIL, we're talking about money in terms of revenue. And it's like, we know that the way revenue streams have been moving around, it's just been growing by the days. And as many people and as many departments have had money, you've seen that there have been as many as those that have had growth in money, there have been many that have had big time deficits with money. But
Right.
this looks like something that, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think long term? Do you think that long term, where do you think that this might end up becoming long term, with this, the residual effect?
Well, let's think about why you go to JUCO. A lot of guys that go to JUCO, maybe in the past, it was about not being eligible. I may not qualify to be a D1 player yet. I didn't meet my core courses that I needed to have to be in order to be labeled that. So a lot of them go to get there. But I think now in terms of it, because the high school kid is not getting recruited at that level as much as he would normally be, it's almost becoming a place for a high school kid to be developed and spend some time, doing that. And it also pushed the narrative that, there's a lot of things that go on that I don't like to talk about the money piece, but if I can get me a good player that has a great, football mind, and he's, all rosters are getting older now. So that kid that spent 2 years at JUCO, he's already 20, tapping on 21 by the time he enters to institution A or institution B. So now he's still got 4 years to play. So now he'll end up being 24 years old at his senior year, or 23 or 24 at the oldest at his senior year. So you're talking about now that guy's got a chance to develop. That guy's got a chance to be able to play, against good quality competition. And it also may give some spaces for the high school kid to be developed there too. So, I guess it has its gifts and I guess it has its curses. It depends on who's looking at it and to what benefit it does to whatever institution you're working at that time.
Benny said, no excuse for anything under a 2.5. I'd have 7 degrees if AI was available when I was in undergrad.
I got to agree with you, Benny. If AI was available when I was in school, we'd be rocking and rolling. I think a lot of us see that.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this thing transpires. But I know that eligibility, which kind of segues into my next point here, where I want to take you. Eligibility is such a premium now. So
Mhm.
definitely with this 5-and-5 rule, it's interesting to get your take on this. From your head coaching eyes, talk about this 5-and-5 rule.
I think it may be the biggest change, a rule change that fans we are fully appreciate. I don't think everybody appreciates. I think now players have more greater flexibility in preserving their use of eligibility. I mean, you're going to play with older rosters now, and I think that's everybody more experienced competition, which that's what they want. They want the game to be a little bit more experienced because you get high school players got to wait longer for scholarships. That's probably the biggest hurt part of it, and it's going to increase portal movement. Meaning that if I got a chance, to move and do what I need to do, I'm gonna go to institution A to develop myself or get on the field. And I think a kid needs to now look at instead of saying I want to go to institution A, B, C, or D, I gotta say I want to go to the institution that I can get on the field faster. Where can I get a chance to play faster that I could get a chance to move? And I don't care how much you want to try to talk about 4 years. And it's, back in the day when I sold a kid, you're gonna make a impact decision here that's gonna affect you for the next 40 years of your life. That's not true anymore because he may be there a semester. And then that's all he's looking for. They don't. This was going on in basketball way before we ever started talking about this in football. Basketball was the most transferring of people going from one semester to the next semester. One semester you saw him at this school, the next semester because they got a sport that plays in between semesters. If he eligible in this semester, now his grades here, he transfer, he's eligible to play at that next institution in the next semester. So that's going to be a thing that mostly helps the things. And I think for HBCUs, it creates opportunities in both challenges. For that means we got to recruit our rosters every day. His retention is going to become far more imperative for us than it would be for and roster management has become more complex because that means in December you don't know how many kids you're going to lose. You might look up and your whole starting defensive line and offensive line is gone because those are the areas they chip away from. Skill guys you may be able to keep unless he's just a dominant skill player. But if let's say you get a D tackle that's goes out there in his freshman year and he has 8-9 sacks, you on edge because somebody at the barbershop then told him he was good enough, and somebody down the street at the high school coach then got in his ear. There's agents out there that's misguiding and leading them, thinking about money and selling them, saying that he can get some money. So you got to constantly watch, and then you got kids who what I call quiet quit. It's called quiet quitting. They quietly quitting the team, and you don't know they quit, and you don't know they're leaving. And you look up, they ain't even had a conversation with you. You get back at the beginning of January, looking, have your first team meeting, and half of the team is gone because they didn't quiet quitting because they don't want you. They think you're gonna hate on them or not let them get an opportunity to go somewhere. But that type of control is over with now. Kids can leave and come and go as they want to now.
Wow, man, you cooking, coach. You cooking, and it's something that I've said a lot here. I said a lot here on this show is about how transferring and just the communication that coach and player has. A lot of things too um has the relationship between, some of it is your relationship with your position coach. Like, this is the man that recruited me. So it's like, I have an allegiance to this guy who recruited me. Or you feel
Honestly,
like, go ahead.
honestly, Wayne, no, they don't care no more.
Okay,
It's
okay.
they have no loyalty to. I seen it with my own eyes. They have no loyalty to you. They just looking for an opportunity to get on somebody's team, and they want to play. So and when I talk about recruitment with players, I talk about this. You got to invest in your kid now. If he in high school, he needs a trainer. He needs somebody to help him in the weight room. He needs somebody to help him, get better to be able to. That's the goal. Maximize his opportunities to be able to play at the next level. If he does not have that, and he just depended on the high school coach solely to help him get where he's trying to go, chances are he's going to get not seen. It's not that, and I don't think coaches are doing that great of a job now because they're going to be managing their rosters in November and October. So, because they're trying to get the kids in January to hopefully replace some of the kids they lose in November, December. So you're talking about resources. You're talking about coaching staff that don't have a full. I don't know if you guys have taken a look at these PWIs in the major schools, and their off the field staffs are now as big as that's a department because they know that they got to manage that part. So you're talking about, it's the gap isn't talent, it's resources.
Right.
So
right.
when you speak at our institutions, we lack certain infrastructure and certain resources that we lose, and it puts a lot of pressure on the coaches because they're trying to prepare for a game during the week, also trying to have 30 kids on campus for a junior visit, where at institutions that have those resources and those things in place, they are now, they can handle that and get the visit set up. All the coaches got to do is show up and sell themselves and talk about their program, not make sure the flights are there, make sure they get what they get here. But at our institutions, the coach is usually responsible for doing all those things. And if you can't mastermind all those things at one time, there's going to be a gap that's created between the PWI schools and HBCUs. And I'm not saying that we need to compare ourselves to those because we need to be in our own little infrastructure and world. But no coach gets up in the morning and not want to be competitive. No coach don't want to know that he lost D tackles because you as a fan, Wayne, are you going to show up and say, my team better win? You don't care about the labor pains. You just want me to add a baby. You don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't care about that. So those are the things that I think coaches, and I'm speaking from a coach standpoint, those are the challenges that's going to face with this 5 to play 5, this quick in and out stuff, and the lack of resources. The reality still, it ain't player development. There's a lot of great coaches out there. They're developing the players, but as fast as they develop them, they leave. And now let's think about camp. Okay, there's a lot of coaches finna go into camp right now.
Yep.
It's July. Most of them going to be coming in with a roster that's almost 55 to 60% brand new.
Yep.
They got 4 weeks to get a team ready. And you know how you guys are, Wayne? Y'all want to see the classic game, the first game of the season. But you had 4 weeks. Some of these major schools and some of these other schools got funding to be able to bring their kids back through the summer, that they were able to gel and get them on the same page, unite them, get them together. But when you're talking about bringing in 60% of your team being new, and you got to go out there and try to you're talking about character building, offensive scheme, defensive scheme, coaches learning players, learning playbooks. That's a lot for a coach. And then some of them don't even have enough coaches to be able to implement all that, meaning meeting times, different things that has to happen. And I'm not, we all face challenges, even from the educational side of our institutions. We face those challenges, but, we've always overcome. I've never been one to cry about what we didn't have, but I just know it's difficult. It's more difficult now because you don't know how many you're going to lose. Where at one point in time, you knew you might lose 1 or 2 kids in the midterm. Now you may lose 30 kids in the midterm.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And so with this 5-5, with it, do you see any advantages really at all from this?
Yeah, there's some advantages, I think that it gives some of the kids the only thing that helps with Division I. I have to speak from a Division I and Division II because it's 2 different separations. See, people don't understand that Division II don't have that rule. 5-5 is still there, but it doesn't help them. So if I if I was in Division II and I recruited a JUCO player, he still don't have a 2 years of eligibility. But if he goes Division I, he got 4 years of eligibility. So that's a big difference there. So I think Division II has still adopted that they're going to be, and this is my opinion, not no one else's. I feel like Division II is still going to be the development ground for high school kids. They're going to force them to take the high school kids and develop them, which puts a lot of pressure on the Division II staffs because every high school kid that come there Guess what? If he's really good, he's gonna lose. Just like the FCS, every kid that comes is it's a tree climbing mechanism. As I climb and I go up, everybody's gonna have to be trying to re-up every year. So staff stability, I'm gonna have to be in place. A lot of people will be quick to overturn and say coaches got to go because things didn't go the way it's supposed to go. But it's gonna be because of instability, and a lot of times it's not gonna be because they're not good coaches. It's just there's more opportunities for kids to be able to disappear and move on when he's ready to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, especially from the point of when you say about Division II becoming more of a breeding ground. Because I think with this, with the 5-5, I think what it does, it's going to make make some of these kids and also the parents. We got to include that. You're gonna talk plenty about that when we get to recruiting. But but I think what it does is it makes them stop and give pause to think about where do they want to start their career at, right? Their college career at. Because with you only having 5 years, it's not any more of this. As I on the third point, you can't be getting any of these hardships. You can't be getting any of these waivers. You can't be going to a judge and giving a sob story and getting extra time because you feel like for some circumstances, hey, I didn't get a chance or whatever. I think it's going to make them give more pause. And I think some of the advantages that may exist, you may see more guys end up playing and women because this is all athletics. You might see them end up playing at places they might not have otherwise played at before, for the simple fact of, I want to get on the field. I want to get on the court. I want to get in the pool. I want to get on the mat. I want to be able to get right out there and play. And I think you'll still have those that still have that dream that says, well, I want to play at Ohio State. You're not necessarily Ohio State talent. Now, I mentioned Ohio State because I worked there. I spent so much time around the program. But there's guys that say this stuff all the time. Well, I've always wanted to be a Buckeye, and my family has always wanted to be Buckeyes. But you might not be Buckeye material. So you're still going to get some of those that it's been their dream to play at a certain place. And they're willing to, wait out the process. But for most of the folks out there, they're not going to wait out any process. They didn't wait out a process before. They're not going to wait out a process in the 5 years. They're going to say, hey, I need to get somewhere where I can play. And they're looking for some guarantees. Now, we all know, and those that are watching, and you coach too, there are no guarantees in any of this. No guarantees.
Nothing.
No guarantees.
And I'm you cooking with that now, and you say that, but there's so many parents and kids are delusional. When I say delusional, they think that my kid, and especially the parent that has spent a lot of money in the recruiting game. She spent on 7-on-7. She spent on camps, and her ultimate goal was to get into Division I, and then she run into somebody who's a realist who evaluates her kid and tell her he ain't never gonna see a Division I kid. Most of them don't even meet the metrics. He may have talent. He may be a 4.5 40. He may be everything, but he 5'7". They're not even looking at you. You got to be special at 5'7". I'm talking about you better go and jump off the screen somewhere. He'll have to go to West Virginia, or he'll have to go to one of those schools and just be special. And I'm talking about when they push play, they just see him like he all over the place. Like, I gotta get him. I gotta have him. But everybody's job's on the line when it comes to that. And I think the kids will come down and they'll play, but you got so many of them now that'll quit and just tell you they don't want to play no more.
Yeah,
I lost love for the game. It's amazing now. I'm telling you now. You got kids down at 18 years old that'll sit over the sideline and be like, I won't call the kid name, but I was coaching last year, and I told the kid, I said, well, I want you to, you can get in and get some playing time. You want to get in? He said, no, coach, I ain't gonna play because I don't want to burn my eligibility up this game.
Wow. Wow.
That's a true story there now. That's a true story.
Mm-hmm. I believe it. I've heard it. I've heard it at other places too. I've heard coaches say that. And I've also heard coaches say that the family influence had a lot to do with that. They said, no,
and the
no.
barbershop guy and
Mm-hmm.
whoever else that he believes in, whoever's selling it. I'm telling people all the time, it's a lot that we have to fight against to, ultimately make it work for us. And nobody really believes me when I say this. I be like, it ain't just the kids, it's the parents you got to coach too. You got to stay there. And then the person that you don't know who talking to him, coaching him too, because he'll come in and, believe it. He may be a coach that the high school coaches who want to help the kid but don't have the resources to help the kid, and he thinks he wants to do it because he's trying to work his way up the ladder to get to where he's trying to go. But if you let somebody who know what they're doing help you, you might be able to get the kid in school somewhere, because a lot of times everything's about relationships. It's really not about whether that kid, if Coach Keaton calls somebody and say, hey, I got a quarterback, it's very rare somebody's gonna say, I'm not finna take a look at what Coach Keaton got, because I've got a pretty good history with quarterbacks. So somebody's
Mm-hmm.
gonna say he know how to pick them. Okay, it's like if somebody called me about a linebacker, it's hard to judge this group of kids now. I just don't know what the loyalty, the desire and the loyalty is not there as much as you think it is. And a lot of these kids are way overprivileged now. They're not the same hungry kid that played back in the 90s and their parents were suffering and that was their way of getting out. Those were the stories you heard. That's not the stories you're hearing now. You go to any parking lot at any school right now, and I ain't just talking about at Ohio State. I'm talking about at our schools, that the kids, they driving better cars than you pulling up in. So they've had good parents. They come from 2-car garages, and their parents have provided, and most of them come from places that they've already been educated. So they're coming there with the opportunity to want to play, and some of them are just interested in playing. They're not there to really play. And then
Mm-hmm.
you find another part of them that once I'm not the starter, that's another coaching job in itself. Once he's not the starter, and once you pick that roster and say these are the guys you got, the management job that you have to do nowadays with the parent and also with a coach. The coach that's coaching him, and the head coach got to intervene, because they will pick the phone up and call. Oh, you got to have enough security around you when you walk off the field, that if they got close enough to the gate to be able to say something to you, why my son not playing? Or you can hear him through your headphone set hollering down. I'm talking about the collegiate games now. I've never
Yeah.
coached high school. I'm talking about the collegiate games that a parent would actually be upset because this kid out here giving the best, and these are the best. We thought these are the best players to give us the best chance to win. But because your son chose to go to school here and he not in that mix, it becomes it's a battle. And this is stuff that nobody talks about. So now when you talk about this 5-year thing, that put even more pressure, because he only got 5 years to play. So when he
Mm-hmm.
go to that place and it don't work out for him and it's not going the way he wanted to go, we talking about he becomes an instant cancer possible in a locker room. And I don't think people thought that through yet. Because that's the first thing I thought. So what about you can't play but 22 at a time? Now what
Correct.
happened? You got 105 roster. Ooh, it's gonna be some
Mm-hmm.
angry souls in there that talk about, oh, we used to say, well, I'm red shirting you. Well, no, you're not. There's no more
None.
what?
Not no more.
How we
Not
gonna
anymore.
oh, I got a fake injury now. No, but I can't even get a medical hardship.
Mm-mm.
Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 22 spots. Most of the time people travel with 70 or 80 people. That's the whole party. So I don't know what the travel roster limit is. So you're talking about, if you don't make the 56, then what we got?
Exactly. And there's gonna be a whole lot of guys that are gonna be moping, pouting, complaining, saying, and then you got some kids. Hey, they come from a good upbringing that told them the realities when they were growing up. They don't make excuses. They just put their nose to the grindstone. They work. Those are the kids you love. But in reality, a lot of the kids that are out here, they're the ones that they always been a starter. Every team they ever been on. They don't know anything other than starting. They don't know the whole thing about being a role player. They want to be the guy or whatever. And it's just a whole part of that. I just know this dynamic has definitely changed a lot of the visual. And I love the fact that this visual is changed the fact that said you now have to be more of a grown human being and make a decision. You can't just go jump, and then cry, whine, and moan in front of a judge, in front of some family, in front of some folk, get you a hookup from a homeboy or whatever, and get some extra time. You can't. You got to make a decision. And I love the fact that everything you said about the realities of how the parents are. It's mind blowing how much this thing doesn't get talked about. And that's why I really wanted to talk about it with you tonight, because I know a lot of people right now, they rather be talking about, okay, what is my team going to do and whatever. We'll get to that. But this is the stuff that we really should be talking about, because this is what's going to shape a lot of the framework for the performances of these teams that you follow. This is going to shape a lot of the foundations of it, because now you're going to really be able to find out who is really invested and who's not, even much more than you ever did before. So he said, what about the talent level going to HBCUs after this? I like this question. What do you think about that there, Coach?
I think the talent, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a gift and a curse. There's going to be a lot of guys that's going to fall to that level, but you got to talk about mindset for anything, okay? If I've been at the University of Alabama, I've seen them. I've been here, and I thought I was supposed to play at that level, and I get there, and I wasn't playing that well. Now I fall down to Alabama A&M or Jackson State or whatever. Now I go there, and I find out that there's talent that's there that might be better than I was, and then I don't get to play there. Now my mindset is really bad, because it's not as easy as people think it is. You're talking about you can't miss. This room for error, you can't miss. You cannot miss. Like when I'm talking about when you evaluating the kid, you better be for sure. Like you can't. There's no room for, oh, I'm developing him this year. Oh, we're gonna spend some time with him. You guys ain't got that. You want to know about the talent level that's going there. That means he better be good. He better be able to add value. So now when you watch the coaches that's coaching at the FCS level, they're not just getting a kid that was on their team. They're making sure they got a guy that actually played, actually was on a roster, that actually got in games. Those are the guys that they want to try to get on their roster, because there's shows like this and other shows that depicts what they signed. And if he ain't got no film and he was just on the roster, boy, is the coach going to get talked about. And even if he might have been good in high school, but he hadn't played in 2 years. But we still banking off something he did 2 years ago, but nobody ever thought about his mindset and what mind state he in right now.
That's some good stuff right there, Coach. That's some good stuff. Man. So yeah, this 5 and 5, it's gonna be more to come. But I love everything we talked about with this. Definitely gonna be revisiting this one. Definitely.
We're gonna be talking. You're gonna talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah, I know. I know. So we'll get to we'll go to recruiting right now, because we right there in recruiting. We'll backtrack after this, but I wanted you to stay right here with recruiting. And this is where I'm talking about all facets, according to Coach Keaton. You talk it, man. Wherever you want to go with it, you got the floor.
I think recruiting is no longer about talent anymore. It's not just about his talent. It's about, talent getting noticed. I mean, you got to be able to see it. You got to put it in front of places and people, because as I say, the coaches now, especially if you're a high school kid, I think one of the biggest errors that we don't think about is that we're coaching older now. So every coach at the SWAC, MEAC, and all those levels, when you talk to those guys, and even at the Mississippi States and everywhere else, they're recruiting guys that's JUCO or off somebody else's roster, trying to get older. So now the kid that's coming out of high school, he might be talented as all get out. But is he going to be as developed as a kid that may have been somewhere 2 years or a year before or somewhere like that? So I think that the talent has always been in HBCUs. I ain't never coached a team yet where including places that, people don't think talent grew at. There's a lot of players with talent there. It's just a matter of us keeping it now. And I think recruiting is a big part of your lifetime. But we don't talk about the one thing that everybody got to talk about with this 505. It's retention.
Mm-hmm.
Retention
Mm-hmm.
is a part of the process now, and it's going to be a big part of the process in order for to measure your team's success. Whatever your favorite team is, it's going to be how many of those kids that he can bring in the door and how many of them he's going to be able to keep there. And we all know what that comes down to. If some money is thrown around and it ain't enough money and somebody else can offer him a little bit more money, you don't have to just worry about being poached by teams that's going up. You also got to be worried about being poached across teams going across that's in your conference or that's a neighboring team or your rival team. Because if I got the funds and my wallet is bigger than yours, it's called big bank take little bank. So if I got some funds and I need that receiver and he's really good, well, let's get to him. I got a 10-day window. I call his cousin or somebody I know. So that's what's happening. I don't care what nobody's saying. It's still happening every day. And then all of a sudden he goes and bam. Edward Waters has the best wide receiver in the thing. Now I saw him as I think he's first team All-American right now. What's his name? Yeah, but he was at with Edward Waters. And I remember he was really, really good. And think about what happened there. Edward Waters paid the price. Now Jackson State got a hell of he went to Mississippi Valley.
Yeah.
Then he went from Mississippi Valley.
Nate Rembert, that's his name.
Nate
that's
Rembert.
him.
That's Nate Rembert. Okay. He went from Mississippi Valley. And now he was at Jackson State. But see, that's in the same conference. You see what I'm talking about? It ain't just a matter of keeping your players. And you think about the teams that don't have much to offer, teams that lack limited resources, teams that don't got the luster to be in front of the camera, don't get on TV as much. I'm sorry. Their social media ain't popping. They're going to want to go to the schools that they can get somewhere where it's popping. They want to go where it's buzzing at. They ain't trying to be nowhere where they ain't buzzing. So now a team like, and I hate to call teams out, but a team like Mississippi Valley struggle to keep great talent. Keep a guy and in their stable. The teams that can keep them, then they good. They got a chance. It's usually your bigger schools, the one that's got a little bit more resource, or they got value. They got the 3 A's. That's what I talk about. They got athletics, they got academics, and they got activities. So when you got all 3 of the 3 A's and there's things to do around the city that's going to keep him there, then now you got a chance to be great. You get what I'm saying? You got a chance to be able to win year in and out, and you got a chance to attract good talent to your program. But when you don't have all those things, that exposure that you don't have, and I think that right now the state of black college football is huge because there's more exposure, there's more talk about it, there's more everything that you want it to be. I just feel like the recruiting part is not as difficult as people trying to make it out to be. As you can see, we've gotten more talented every year. Every time I watch a game, you be like, damn, we look good. Like, there you go. You remember a time when you turned on black college football, no matter what people say, it was kind of raggedy.
Yeah.
And now you got good quarterback play. You got great coaches that's out there coaching them up, and you get excited to watch a game at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I know before my game, if somebody played before me, I'm on ESPN Plus or whatever that is, trying to see. Just check it out. Let's get a quarter in before we go out. The hands in the barn. It's time for me to go play, but I just want to see what's look like today.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And man, it's really crazy just with recruiting. The way we always saw it. I mean, from the traditional view, you and I were about the same age, So you remember in the 90s, you remember what it was like. It was all right. When it came to football recruiting, it was like, all right, this is the top 3. You always heard this was the top 3. These are the top 3 teams that I was going to. And you knew that chances are whenever they went to whatever school it was, you knew that that's where they was going to, stay. They wasn't going to move. They said, all right, I'm going to be right here. I'm going to get developed. I'm going to grow. I'm going to do what I need to do. You remember, that's how it used to be. You used to be able to keep a team. You used to be able to keep guys, and you used to be able to recruit your team based off of, here you go, the guys that you could be playing with that's already on the roster. Hey, look, man, part of the recruiting pitch, it used to be, hey, we're returning 7 out of our 11 starters on defense, and you a DB. And you know what, man? We might have an opening, man, at nickel next year. You know what I'm saying? You used to be able to recruit off of that right there.
And your mindset in the dormitory was like, hey, I'm going to play next year. I'm going to get this nickel spot. I'm going to work. So when spring comes, that's going to be my time to make my show my shine because the guy graduated and they got to recruit a guy, but they're going to recruit a guy based off what I do this spring. So if I come in and I don't need a need for that position, then I got the position and I had a chance to develop. So I should be already ready to play in that game. That's no longer the case. Right now, you're recruiting your own roster every day. Every day you recruit your roster. People don't believe that, but I'm saying, listen to me. As a coach who sat in that room, you're recruiting your roster. I tell my coaches, know where your players at. Have you talked to him today? How do you know he's doing good today? Have you brought him in and see how he's feeling? He ain't played in 3 games. You gotta check his mental. See, some coaches think that they just show up and they quietly quit. These kids don't talk much. It's called headphones on, music on, the world is out. So if you got a kid or you got a kid around the 18, 19-year-old age, which I do, and you know when that door closes or them headphones go on, they might have heard you, but they ain't heard you. But they don't rebel like we did. We kind of got a little huffy and puffy, and mom and daddy, we kind of talked about it. They don't do that. They go to their room, shut the door, and next thing you know, they'll show up doing everything just like they supposed to be in the weight room everywhere. But they have mentally quit on you. And when they mentally quit on you, you will see it. And you're going to see it now with nobody knows how to overcome adversity. Let's use that as a term. Overcoming adversity. That's a part of life. Don't let minor setbacks defeat you. A lot of these kids don't know how to overcome adversity. And as a coach, you got to train them now because they were never taught that because we lived in the world where we throw money at it. You get what he wants. Something happens bad. Oh, let's don't worry about it. He gonna get it. When we were coming up, and I never thought I would be that person to say that, but I can see the difference in the kids nowadays because of the way they were raised. It's almost like they overprivileged. They don't care about the work ethic. They just care about what happens to them. Can I play today? If I'm not playing, I don't care about nothing else. They don't even want to root their teammate on most of the time. It's all because it's not them. It's embarrassing now. When I'm talking about when you can see a team who win, the team just won a game, and you get on the bus at 9 or 10 of them in their feelings because it used to be about the team winning. No, it's about me playing now. And if I don't play, I don't go. So if your assistant coaches or your coaches that coach that position are not checking their temperature on a regular basis, you need to know how that kid is feeling, where he's at. Bring him in, talk to him. I coach people on this all the time. I gotta know because if I'm dependent on one play, the backup quarterback is the most important person on the field. But I'm one play away from playing with him. But if his mindset is checked out of here, guess what? I need to be finding something else. I need to have a backup plan. My star receiver thought he should have been a starter. His daddy's telling him every day he watched practice that he think this guy should be a starter. This guy be. I mean, it's so much involved into it. And then you have the cafeteria people and the maintenance people got their being in there too now.
Come on.
I can't. I mean, you don't know what a coach goes through to try to keep a kid. And then now, like I said, somebody said, "What about all the talent?" Well, it's hell managing the talent nowadays. Because some of them are so prima donna or they so entitled to something and they don't want to work for it. Nobody wants to. What are you willing to give up for it? Tremaine says this all the time, and I've adopted it too. It costs what it costs.
Yes, sir.
It take what it take. You want to be the best, you're going to have to work like the best. You're going to have to drive yourself like the best. It don't care. Keep digging. Keep carrying the water till it turn to wine. And a lot of them don't got that mentality. If I ain't the one carrying the wine and I ain't the one scoring the touchdown, the team is scoring, you over there. You look at a sideline, and I'm getting passionate about this now. Look on the sideline sometime and look at the team. You'll look down there, and there'll be 10 guys the ball is down here at the 20 on this end, but there'll be 10 other guys way down there sit on the knee with their helmet off, all mad because they're not what? They're not playing.
Not playing.
And it's embarrassing. I mean, like, you can't even celebrate your own team. Because I think in some households, we were told number one is the best you could be. You can't be number two. It's okay to be the role player. It's okay to be the backup guy. It's okay, but when your time comes, let them know. Show me. And then some of them spend so much time being in their feelings that by the time it's time for you to play, we never got the good production out of you. Now you done wasted a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Now your job on the line. You thought it could be good for you, but it's so many things. And then don't let him get a girlfriend.
Oh man.
We
Mm,
coaching her too now.
mm,
We got to take his phone from him on Friday because if he get into it, and they love to pick a fight right before the game, and we got an
mm-hmm.
important game, and he in his feelings for the rest of the day. So now he can't even go out there and function because he didn't have a major fight with his girlfriend. See, that's the stuff that people don't talk about. Coaches don't get on here and say this, but I can say it. I ain't coaching right now. That's the stuff that we manage in the locker room. You don't know the fight that might have happened, or he got into it with his girlfriend coming from the cafeteria, or she went out the night before, and he tender, so he don't know how to handle it, and he thinks she out with somebody else, and now he can't even play. His mindset is gone. That's big
Mm.
facts now.
Come on, man. And this is the type of stuff. This is the type of stuff where I go a lot. Like I love the reality. I love the reality of it. Because see, from a fan view, fans, they don't see all this. Now, I see it because, because of my connections with the coaches and some of my connections with certain players, past and present. I've heard all the stories. I've heard how certain situations can used to be able to split a locker room. What used to split a locker room used to be well, coach like you. I feel like coach like you more than he like me. Or only reason why you in there playing is because your daddy gave X amount of dollars to fund this part of the wing of the facility or something. Now, man, it's so many things, man. I've heard when you talking about recruiting your own roster, it's so many things I heard, man, about this guy is making $1,000 more a month than me.
Talk about scholarship. Okay, it's scholarships. Let's talk about it. I know in Division Two because we break the scholarship in half, but we don't just give scholarships to for a certain capacity. We give certain scholarship because of their financial situation. So one person's financial situation may not look like the other person's financial situation, but that don't mean that they play no different or better. One guy may be better, but he may be getting less money. But one guy may be worse, but he may be getting more money because of his financial situation. And you needed that player for whatever you needed that player for. So those are the things. But then they get in the locker room and they start talking about it, and he'd be like, "Oh, I got a $10,000 scholarship." Next thing you know, the guy that can play, he carrying the workload, and he might have only needed $5,000 for him and his family to be clear. Okay, so he getting $5,000. The first thing he gonna say is, he get $10,000. Next thing you know, it's spread through your whole locker room. Next thing you know,
Mm.
you're getting memes. I mean, people don't see that. That's the management of a staff, the players, and some of the self-inflicted wounds that come along with coaching. And I know coaches, they try to, we all wear it on our sleeve, but at nighttime, we don't sleep half of the time because especially the night before a game or if you don't got total control of what's going on because some campuses are wide open. They don't get to sleep in the same residence hall no more. Some of them stay off campus. You don't know what they doing the night before the game because like I said, if you got two in a room that ain't playing and your starters in that room, next thing you know, the two that ain't playing, they might be turned up. And guess what is it going to encourage the other one to do? He going to go turn up. But as a fan, you don't get to see that. But if one of y'all see him out there, they're going to say, "Oh, he was out drinking. The coaching staff ain't got no control of him." Ain't that we ain't got no control of him. We can't watch him every 5 minutes either. We got to sleep at some time point too.
Right. Man, that's deep, man. That's deep. That's real deep. And hey, everybody, make sure you like the stream out there too, man. I know y'all loving this. I know folks are all in on this, man. This is some good stuff. And so with recruiting, I do want to make sure I ask you to talk about this. We talked about the influence of family. So we know you've always had to recruit, you've always had to win over the parents. You've always had to do that, right? But now winning the parents over now it's not even the same. Just talk about family and the influence in recruiting right now and what that is, man.
It's sad because it's more about money than it is the opportunity for you to have a chance to play football or get a good education. It's not about that anymore. So when you're talking about it, they just as bad because they'll talk to you today, somebody else tomorrow, and all they're doing is negotiating for the what? The best price.
Mm-hmm.
Coach may think he has him, all of a sudden backdoored him, and that's the recruit game. It was going on a long time ago, but it was about a scholarship, and the playing field was even. Now it's about a scholarship and how much money they can get in indiscretionary funds. So if I say I'm gonna give you $7,000, then this other group says I can give you 10,000. The other one says I can give you 30,000. Where do you think he going? He going to the one with $30,000. So the
Yep.
playing field is not equal. So it's became about money. So those it's going to become the haves and the have-nots. And so if you don't have, then you really ain't even you can't play money ball. You just got to take the roster you got. And you got to figure out a way to win with it. You know, I'm used to that. I'm not one of those guys who ever had anything. I've always coached at schools that never had much, so I never really complained about that. I found the best players I could find. I knew the type of player that I was looking for, and I recruited mindset. You know, I tell people all the time, it's got to be a mindset. And if you don't watch his mindset, he can be the greatest player in the world, but if he don't have the right mindset, and you won't get the mentality you want to win with. And I think a lot of coaches look at talent, and talent alone won't win. If he don't have the right mindset, if he don't want to have a blue collar worker mentality, then he won't win.
Yeah. Yeah. And lastly on this, let's talk about we touched it earlier. We talk about measurables. We talk about skill level. Talk about mentality. A lot of everybody out here that watches me, they know I officiate track and field. I ran track and field in college at Alabama A&M. I'm a master USATF level official right now. I was out in Oregon 2 weeks ago doing the Nike Outdoor Nationals and doing the U20s. I
Mhm.
have parents and family members that actually contact me and saying, "Hey, can you put me in contact with such coach? Because I have a kid, he's an amazing." I had somebody say he's an amazing hurdler, and first thing I said was, I said, "Okay," I said, "What's his times?" Because they got recruiting standards out here. I said, "What's his
Mhm.
times?" First thing I looked at, they said he running 400 hurdles. I saw 55. I said, mm-mm. I said, they ain't Division One. You ain't getting looked at Division One. Here, then I asked somebody. I said, okay, you run 100. They say you run 100 and 200. Okay. First thing I said was, if you run 100 and your best time starts with 11, don't even bother. If your best time starts with 22 in the 200, stop. Don't even bother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're thinking you're going to run D1, you're not running D1 with 11 seconds in the 100. You're not running D1 with 22 seconds in the 200,
It's 10
right?
or better. The 10 or
10 or
lower.
better. 10 or better. They've even got standards for walk-ons. Just to even be a walk-on or to get a tryout, you have to run a certain time, right? And a lot of these times, just to be a walk-on or get a tryout at a Division One, is still not even it's still like even slower for you to get a scholarship in D2, right?
Mhm.
So the point of where I'm going with this, coach, is with football recruiting. Everybody says my kid is a stud. Everybody
Mhm.
says my kid, they see he's fast. Oh, they saw, he scored a whole bunch of touchdowns and whatever. But then we start asking questions. Here in my state of Ohio, we've got 7 football divisions. Okay? D7 is the lowest, D1's the highest. You
Mhm.
see kids playing D6 football. Okay?
Mhm.
D6 and D7 football here, you might have 30 kids on your team, 45 if you're lucky. Okay,
Mhm.
everybody's playing both ways, or they're playing the whole game. They're playing all 3 sides of the ball. They're even special teams.
You're
Okay,
right.
you look at the talent and you look at the competition that you went against. You look at it. You see, oh, well, he dominated. But then you say, well, you played D6, D7 football. But you want me to consider you a D1 prospect, but you wasn't playing the type of competition that some of these other kids that are D1 prospects have played. You talk about, oh, well, look at how big he is. He's 6 foot, he's 6'4, he's 285 pounds. Okay. There's a lot of kids that are 6'4, 285. There's differences in a 6'4", 285 who has the arm technique, has the hand talent, can move his hips.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of these different things that people will try to tell you right now. But from a recruiting aspect, Coach, based on everything I said, how can you sum that up for people, for folks to understand if with you having this platform to do so?
If I question the talent you played, then more than likely I don't really want to recruit you. But there's a place for you to play. And I tell kids this all the time. If they question whether you played against good talent, you need to find a place to play down and play against some good talent. I'm talking about when you get to college, you go out to select that school that you know that you're going to be able to go play at, and you go out to play on a college football field and prove to somebody that you can make it, get it done, especially if you got all the measurables. You just got to prove to somebody you're going to get it done, because in this day and age, you can move. Back in the day, you was just stuck with that. That was your label. You had it. But there's a place for a kid like that nowadays that he can get a chance to be able to go prove himself and get on the field. Because if I get a 6'4", 6'5", tackle that played at 1A or 1D or 1A ball or whatever he played, and he good enough, he got all the measurables, I as a coach should be like, okay, I can take him. My level, I'm talking about at my level, what I was coaching, I can take him. He's a project for me, but I can take him. But if he come here and he turns out to be really good, I didn't gamble, because he's going to be bigger than most of the kids I got. So because he's really got the D1 body and frame, he wasn't playing against the D1 talent. So That's the hardest part about explaining to a parent. Just because my kid got the size, you've been out here playing against Polar Tick Team. You done ran for 300 yards on, the guys, he can't even catch you. You done been recruited to this school, and now you dominate. Yes, you be the man in your city. But at the same time, when it comes down to me looking at you, if I take that to my head coach, I gotta be sure. I can't miss on this, because if you turn out to be a dud, he's probably gonna fire me, because we took a chance on a guy that we already saw that you hadn't played against nobody that was. Well, we saw you had to break tackles, or you had to meet a linebacker in the middle of the hole. Most of the kids you played against, you were bigger than, and they were scared to tackle you or hit you, and you just bullied them. That's facts now.
Yeah,
just like I tell a kid, if he's not fast, that goes back to what we was talking about in recruiting. You got to invest in the kids now. High school kids, they gotta get a training. If you want your kid to be recruited and get recruited, he got to come almost prepared to play football. Meaning that he a DB, he needs a DB coach. He a wide receiver, he needs somebody to teach him how to release. He needs to teach him how to get off routes, and they need to see that on tape. He can't come to college nowadays and he not ready to play. I don't care what level it is. He got to have some type of ability that he ready to play. If you let your kid play 4 years of high school football with no training, no skill set, no nothing else, the chances of him going to college and being able to start is going to be slim to none. So the investment is going to have to be made. And I don't care how they think about it. I'm telling you, not what I've heard, but I've seen it. I've coached it. I've been on that. I've been a head coach for 17 years of my 25 years of coaching. So I understand what I'm looking for and why it's important. In this ecosystem that we're swimming in now, it's even more important, because if he wants to move or he wants to go even get a chance to play, he better come ready to play. Because if he's not ready to play, then that means he's going to lose a year of eligibility and he's not going to be dominant. So when I say that to parents, you're going to have to invest in your kids. They're looking at you like it's crazy, because we're the parents that we was used to. The coaches get the letters at the school, and your coach had a letter for you. He let you line up and everybody get a letter. You sitting over in your locker like, anything come for me? No. No, nothing come for you. Now the kids are getting recruited through Twitter and all these other places that even the head coach don't even know. The last person you're talking to now is the head coach. He don't know how many offers the kids got. The kids now fake offering just to feel like they want attention. Come on now, they want attention. So they looking like, because they've been sitting in the locker room and everybody that came by this spring to see the kids, and they wasn't one of the kids they got saw. And then now the mama mad because she done spent $600 on a trainer. Well, if you met somebody who could tell you that before, if your coach say, don't worry about training him, mama. You don't tell him in front of the kid, but the truth of the matter is you wasted your time because he ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we
Mm-hmm.
all could just sit ourselves in the face and look and be in reality and say, he ain't it. He not it. Because if I see a kid and he ain't it, I'm going to tell him, I just did it the other day with a kid. I told his parents, say, just get him in school. There's a lot of things he can become. But a
Mm-hmm.
football player is not one of them. So you're
Mm-hmm.
wasting your time. It's his senior year. He's not going to get recruited by. He can go walk on a team, but like you said earlier, I'm going back to what you said, and you're absolutely spot on. Even the walk-ons got a requirement now because you don't want to let a standard go down and say, I'm just taking people, because now you're just taking folks. It make your team look bad.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, RB. Hey, I'm glad you enjoying this, man. Hey, we still got a little while. We still got a little more to go here. But appreciate this, man. This is some good stuff. So, man, recruiting, man. That's some good stuff. Man, we can still go, we can still continue on with that. But we definitely, yeah, man. More to come. More to come. We'll talk about this more in the days ahead, man. But this is some good stuff. All right, Coach. As we're getting ourselves ready for the season, we're talking
Mhm.
about the countdown to kickoff, and this is where since we've been so transparent during this episode, I want to hear just the preparation for a season. Now we're in July, so as a head coach. And I want to talk about from an HBCU aspect first. Uh, as a head coach, we know we got media day coming. We got all that good stuff coming. We know you got folks, everybody around is wanting to know, hey man, we got our team. What we gonna look like this year, man? And we got the expectations. You got some things, that's keeping you up at night. You got things you got to worry about, things you got to do, man. So talk about the whole process of all this to get ready for a season as a head coach.
Most people don't see the 8 months of preparation that makes the Saturday possible. That's what I call it, the eight months that make Saturdays possible. Football is the only sport that you practice more than you play. That's the only sport that you practice more than you play. But I tell people in 2026, winning is not just about play calling; it's about building an organization. And the first thing that we got to get prepared for, as I say in June, it's usually right at the end of May, is you got to evaluate your own program first. So I'm looking within. What did we do well last season? Where did we lose games at? What areas did we lose games in? Was it game management? Was it players? Or was it a coaching problem? I said, was it our problem? Was talent, coaching, or execution? Those are the three things I'm going to ask myself. And then, did our culture match our standard? Did we set the standard that we wanted to go in and is the culture is still doing what? That's what championship teams do every year, because they have to be brutally honest with themselves to be sure that that's who they want to become. And when you hear a champion talk, and I'm gonna give you a guideline of two people that when you hear them talk, they almost get classified as arrogant. I get classified sometimes as being arrogant sometimes too. But championship coaches speak with that tone, and you hear it in every time you hear Tremaine Jackson speak, you hear him talking that he talked that talk. Anytime you hear
Mm-hmm.
Chennis Berry speak, they talk that talk because they
Mm-hmm.
believe in what they do, because they believe in what their coach are going to be, and they believe in what they're going to put around them. So the second thing that's got to happen, you got to win your roster. The season don't start with the players. You got to figure out what player, returning players, incoming freshmen, transfer portal addition, walk on, and then you got to start establishing the leadership in the locker room. That's what most people don't talk about. Retention now is about recruiting. Is the most important thing in recruiting now. It's the retention, and then now you got to develop leaders and not captains. Meaning that you got to, each position group, you got to be developing a leader at that spot. So he's going to be the person that's going to come in and talk to you when things are going wrong, or when the group, you got to find out he may not be the best player. And I tell people this all the time. That guy may not be your superstar player. He may be the guy that's just a good role model player, but he's going to push everybody to be great. And that's the one you want to make sure you make him the leader, not the captain. And that has to be developed in January. That's why you have winter workouts. So when you got winter workouts going on, you trying to find those guys, define them. Who's going to lead my team? Who's going to put the C on their jersey? Who's going to be our captain? Who's going to be the guy that's going to get us out of trouble? And then you got to simplify your schemes in 2026 because so many new people are joining your team. I feel as a coach, you got to have everyone has to have access to the film now. Everybody got to have it. At one point in time, you didn't have to get the players the film. You like, no, I can't. But you got to give everybody the film. It's got to be cut up. It's got to be detailed because you don't have but a small window to prepare them kids to get them ready for that big Labor Day Classic game that y'all want to see, that everybody that paid for. It's on ESPN, and you're bragging to your neighbor, and you've been talking trash since the game was played last year about who gonna win this game. So, but the coach, he got to figure out how to get in 4 weeks his people ready to go now. I'm talking about They got to be flawless in execution. So that means everyone has to have their analytics. Everybody got to have the copies of the concepts. Everybody got to know what the difference in who's going to make the plays, who teaches their system, what players going to play fast and when they think less. We got to have players that can play smart. We say play hard, play smart, play fast, and play together. We got to be able to do that in 4 weeks. That means we can't waste no minutes, no hours, no nothing. And then master situational football. So now we're talking about championships are won in this situation. We're talking about learning third down, red zone, goal line, 4-minute offense, 2-minute drill, sudden change, backup offense, special teams. Those are things that got to go. And now, we started off just talking about the regular offense now, the regular defense. But we ain't talking about the situational stuff that you got 4 weeks. And then you got to build your staff. Your staff got to mirror you. In their role, they got to know what their recruiting areas are. The player, because see, this is the recruiting area. Let's go back to that recruiting area that I was talking about. Because you got to recruit your own staff, you're talking now, my coaches got to be able to have the ability to recruit and teach and coach at the same time. Because now he's going to have to make sure that by the time we get to November, and that means we got to have a lot more game day visits than we had before. That means during the season, there got to be players coming in here every season. There got to be JUCO players coming. There got to be, transfer portals that did not get a chance to play or did not get out the portal that's still looking for a home that he may be an immediate fix for. That means they got to spend more time evaluating film, tape, everything else. I never said nothing about watching the game now. He ain't got to that point yet. He still got to do recruiting and watch the game, break down, do everything. Now we talking about resources now. Now, I told you when we first started off, we were just talking about HBCUs now, but I'm saying the difference is when other staffs have a whole recruiting department and personnel and general managers and everybody else, those people are just doing that job. Yep. Now the coaches are focusing in on what? Just coaching and getting their team ready for the big game, the Labor Day Classic that everybody ready to get to, that everybody just want to get there and judge and say, this is what we got going on. And then there's an everyday process. Like I said, and then preparing for the unexpected. Now that's the hard part right there. It's because you got injuries. You got some kids that's not going to clear the NCAA requirements. His transcript not going to show up on time. He might get there and he lost his grandmother, and he not the same kid that we recruited in May. He's not gotten over the fact that his grandmother was taken care of, and he just hadn't been able to get through that. You get what I'm saying? So all that stuff affects the team when it's time to go. And then the last thing you're trying to do is build a championship culture. You're trying to get that culture in. So every day you got to spend that time, how coaches handle mistakes, how coaches communicate, how coaches treat people, whether the standard is consistent. The culture is built, daily. And not through motivational speeches. It's got to be something you live. So every coach got to live that mentality that's what we're doing. And I tell people all the time, look at the program. Look at their programs, and when you see them, you almost sit there and you be like, this is what we like here. That's who I like. That's how you watch them. You can tell the ones that didn't put that time in with them. I love the way when you watch them, you can tell how they move, how they walk, how they talk, what they going to bring. They talk that talk. When you listen to Dawn talk, I like women's basketball a lot. When you hear her talk, she talked that talk. She got it in her. That's that. The kids believe in that. They come to the day that they energy different. And that's what you like about them. And I think that it's a lot more today in 2026 than we had to do when I first started doing that. So it's a lot that goes into it. It takes a lot. I did a segment on my show a couple weeks ago about what football took away from me. Everybody talk about what football gives us, but what football took away from me. Football took away from my daughters. Football cost me a wife. Football cost me recitals, birthdays, everything else, because you're more of a parent, a kid to the kids you're coaching. You put more time with them and with the players and the staff and the administration than you do at your own house.
Mm-hmm.
That's what football takes away from you. But the reward for football is that you're never without a friend. I love football. This is the first time in 25 years that I will be watching football from a stands. I'm going to try to enjoy it now. I'm going to try to go and watch. And I try not to watch from a critique standpoint because I've been in those situations. Sometimes it takes teams 3 or 4 games to get caught up. Where at the Division I level, at the PWIs and everyone, I'm just saying the ones with better resources then. I'm not just going to say PWI. The one with better resources, they kids got there in early June. Or the last month of June or the 1st of July. So they've had theirs 4 more weeks than you had your kids. They had them 8 weeks, getting them where they had to go. The time to spend in the classroom, the film, gelling together, building the culture, the whole 9. But at most HBCUs, they got 4 weeks. And I'm not complaining because we know most of our schools are restricted in funding. So you're talking about when you bring a kid on campus, you got to pay. You got to bring the cafeteria workers. You got to bring the housing people. You got to bring the maintenance people. So all that's a cost that is associated with bringing your team back early. So that's stuff that we can't overcome unless we have better, money coming in and different things to help those coaches get those kids in there early so that they don't have. But you're talking about 20 some kids, maybe 150 people, and the cafeteria got to feed them. That could cost a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's a very underrated point there about how teams have 4 weeks to get together. 4 weeks, and you're talking about a serious overload of information, overload of preparation. One of the things that I tell certain athletes that I officiate, and I even told my oldest daughter, who's getting ready to go to college. I told her when she was competing, I said, one of the biggest things one of the things that gets missing in the whole process is you as an athlete, you have to show up in shape, ready to go. Like you can't show up to camp and say, well, I'm just going to play my way or train my way into shape. And if you've got too many guys on your roster that are not in shape, that is another hindrance to all the things that you mentioned. Because now
I was going to bring it up. Now you imagine that now. Mm-hmm. Your kids ain't been in no weight room now. They've been already grind all the way before they got out of school. They worked all the way up to May. Yep. Most of our kids that play for us, they don't get enough NIL money that they got to get, go train. What are they doing? They're working a job. They're trying to make summer money. Some trying to buy a car. Some of them got a bill they got to pay off. Some of them got to go to summer school. And if they got to go to summer school at the institution, then maybe a scholarship don't cover that. So they got to be able to pay for that through classes out of their pocket. You think about that now. Now when he gets back in 4 weeks, he ain't did nothing. I'm talking about the lineman ain't in shape. He throwing up on the first set of runs. You got to be careful because it'll take you. Some kids don't get in shape till the 3rd week of the season.
That's right. And what good are you to me if you're not in shape? If I need you, I'm depending on you to go out here and make a play. We're late. Forget late in the game. I need you to make a play in the first half.
Right.
And you can't make a play in the first half because you're not in shape. You're not there.
And but that ain't what you're going to be saying, Wayne. Wayne, you're going to be sitting up there with your nice burger and popcorn, and you're going to be like, man, we got to get rid of Keaton. Because I'm talking about the team ain't in shape. The strength and conditioning coach need to be fired. I'm talking about he need to be ran away from here because we're not in shape. It's clear that team is in better shape than we are, but that's stuff that we can't control because you don't got control of it.
That's it, man. And I love that, man. I love that. I love it. I love the transparency. And that's why when I was putting this show together, I wanted to make sure that we touched on this type of stuff, the transparency of it all, the realities that as fans, they don't see. Yes, I know I analyze the games. I break the games down. I sit here, I've gone through all these different rosters. I've looked at the players. I know all this stuff. But when I start to talk about what we're talking about now, these intangibles, the things that you don't see, the things that no one wants to talk about. Now, there a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, a lot of folks, they know this stuff. But the point is that the difference is they don't want to acknowledge it because they still look at the fact, well, I'm not winning. And the whole thing of winning, and you know this, coach.
You friends
In
with my
our
mama? You
mm,
friends with my mama? That's my mama. She don't care about that. When I call
mhm,
her and tell her, I don't care about all that.
mm,
I came here. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's hot. I'm tired. I didn't want to spend my $30 to come in this game to watch you, and I didn't come to watch you come out here and lay down and does not play good football like you ain't practice all week. That's the
you
stuff
know it.
that fans want. I know exactly. I don't have that because I lived in a house where there was reality.
Mm-hmm.
My mother never let me live with the replica of reality. She always told me the truth. And I'm sorry, I am my mother's twin because I give it to my players just like that. I say, you look like you ain't practiced. You look like I ain't coaching well. I remember one
Mm-hmm.
game I got beat by Tuskegee really bad when I was coaching at Stillman. And my mom, after the game, she told me, she said, if I was you, I would fire you and the staff and the players too. So, and when your mama tell you that, it's a cold reality that you understand that. That's what a fan feels like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they feel like when their team lose. They don't really mean it, but they don't know what you go through, and nor do
No.
they care. They just know that their team lost.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to
That's
argue
it.
with their coworker that's a Southern fan, and they've been a Grambling fan for 100 years, and they've been talking about it all week, and now they got to fight about it. Oh, your team is terrible. And that's all they care about. And I hate to say that, but at the end of the day, we work so hard as coaches. And my hat goes off to those men who put in the time. They're away from their families. And I think in 2026 is going to be even tougher because they're going to have to recruit their rosters and they're going to have to recruit replacements. And they're going to have to recruit replacements that they don't even know they're going to have to replace. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine you get as a fan falling in love with a quarterback that go out and throw for 30 touchdowns for y'all and they lead you to the SWAC championship or wherever you want to go. You fall in love with that kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out in December that he left.
Mm-hmm.
But then, instead of the kid just saying I wanted a better opportunity, he gets on a talk show or a radio show and say, I didn't like the coaches. I didn't like this because he can't take accountability for the fact that he just left. He was only chasing money. He don't want nobody to say that about him, but he'll get on there and tell somebody that I don't like the coaches. And that was never the case. You never was planning on staying with us anyway.
That's
Because
right.
it was always about you.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right. I like the transparency. It's something too that you brought up about family. I had Coach Cedric Thomas on my show about maybe 3-4 months ago, and he did a Chronicles episode with me, and he was so very transparent. And everybody out there that hasn't seen his episode, make sure you see it because he talked about it. He said, "Man," he said, "Wayne," he said, "I lost my son over this." He said, I lost my son over this. He said, man, I was out here coaching. I was out here traveling. I was out here doing what I thought was, this is me. This is my career. He said, I lost my son. He said, now I was fortunate able to get him back and get him back in my life. He said, but it was so many years that I lost out here trying to do this. And so it's just the whole realities of you guys that coach this stuff, that deal with this, on a day-to-day basis. For all the fans out here, they're just looking at the fact that you went 6-5 and
Mm.
that we lost to our I'm an Alabama A&M grad. We done lost to Alabama State 4 years in a row. Don't nobody want to know about. Didn't nobody last year want to hear about? Man, we down to the third quarterback. Because we got injuries and we got a lot of depth issues and different things like that. People don't want to hear that. They looking at 56-13. We done lost to them 4 years in a row. Y'all need to get it together because I done got all these Alabama State people jumping on my tail, and I'm getting embarrassed because I talked all this cash money about y'all fools, and y'all didn't even deliver like I said y'all was gonna do. But you don't know what's going on. You don't know. You have no idea.
I'm talking about you don't know. And I swear to God, I tell people all the time, man. And some coaches we know before we ever play the game because we
Yeah.
saw it all week at practice.
Yeah.
And once you watch the other team and you didn't see them and you figuring out how you're going to cover up how I'm going to cover up my deficiencies, and the quarterback can't hit these throws, so you're limited to play calling. That's what I can call for. I don't have a true playmaker in this position. We're just limited in what we can do. You ever seen that coach that's calling some of the same plays, and then you sit up there like, we run the ball in the same play. Why we running it? Well, that might be the best play he got in the book right now because he can't operate that now. See, but as a fan, as I said, Wayne don't care about that. Wayne know he lost, and that's all Wayne care about. If it's 1-0 and we won, he gonna celebrate that win. And on Tuesday, he might bring up, man, we got to do something about our offense. Man, we got to do something about that defense. We ain't stopping nobody. That's when that come up. But when you lose, you don't care about none of that. You're gonna just think about the fact that I lost. And on Wednesday and Thursday, be like, man, it's time for Coach Keaton to go.
Yep.
It's time for him to go.
Yep. And you want to and add something else to that. When you talking about you've been a winner. You've been winning, right? Won a SWAC championship, won a SIAC championship, won a conference title, right? Okay, next year, the roster done completely turned over, right? Y'all didn't win like you did the previous year. Yeah, I guess coach done lost it. I'm like, come on, man.
I don't think you lose it.
He was the savior. He was the savior 12 months ago. Now he ain't it for the program now.
I use my Jay-Z line when I say that. I say, it was all good just a week ago.
It was all good just a week ago. Too short.
Yeah, just right now, we don't know what just happened like that. I tell coaches all the time now, it's just immediate. And I understand the pressures. I do. And I don't want to short take, but I speak for coaches. And a lot of them won't say that, but it's the hardest thing to go up and say what you just said. And you just lost the game. And then you get up there and you say, well, I got problems. We on the third quarterback, and you interviewing me, and I got to say that. And it's the truth. But what you just said, I don't want to hear it. I want to know why we can't execute. Why ain't the third string quarterback where he need to be? Well, remember now, I only had 4 weeks of camp to get in the way he had to be. And number one took 90% of the reps because I had to get him ready for the ball game. I can't split the reps with the number two because number one is brand new to the program, learning the playbook just like number 2 and 3. So I gotta have one ready, and then two gonna get at least 20% of the reps because I'm one play away from playing with him. So number 3, he been coaching, taking mental reps.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? He ain't got no reps. His first game under the center is at practice on Tuesday, and you already saw on Tuesday. Oh Lord, this finna be a long. And then he go out there and take his first live rep.
Right.
Then you look over at his daddy and say, "See, you've been saying he should have been the starter all week. This is why.
Yeah,
This is why." But you get what I'm saying? That's the stuff that nobody talks about, and it's tough. It's tough when you lose key players, and then it all goes back to what I'm talking about: not having that time in the preseason to get those kids in shape, which lead to some rosters becoming depleted because they get hurt earlier, faster, and then let's talk about the nutrition.
Yes, sir.
All the other stuff that gotta go into that. They eat in the cafeteria when you need different types of nutrition. And if you interview any player that played major college football or even at some of the mid-level FCS schools, they're gonna talk about the difference with coming to HBCUs is the lack thereof nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get off, they got a protein shake, they got a post shake, they got a workout shake, they got the proper nutritions going into their body, they got the fruit and all the different things that they need to help them maintain. And like I said, it all comes back to a budget, the budget we working with. I thought that I think a lot of people have tried to make as many things that they could do to get to where we're going, but I just don't think the gap is still there. There's a big gap, and that's what a lot of coaches. The first time when you interview players that come in and they coming from major college football, they're going to be like, "Well, what you got? What kind of program?" And it's hard when somebody been picking up the towel behind them the whole time they were there. Then they come over to your facilities and be like, "This where I'm at," and that changes his
Mm-hmm.
mentality too. Now, I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
think about that. Now it changes his mentality too. Now, oh, dang, hey, man, we ain't got this, we ain't got that. So he's still living like he's still playing over there, but he ain't really winning that. I lost it over here. I got to get it out the mud now.
Yeah. And that leads me right here to State of HBCU football. Like,
I think
you
it's at its best, man. I'm gonna say this here. I'm just other than the infrastructure and the amount of money that we get. You talking about um we got more exposure. We got, they got national stages. Atlanta's almost becoming the home of it. You got the doggone the cricket bowl, the MEAC SWAC challenge. It's on
mm-hmm.
national TV. You got the Legacy Bowl. I just think that, we got some major wins, visibility. We got opportunities to create investments too in a lot of areas. I think that both the SWAC, MEAC, and the SIAC and the CIAA, what they doing is try to kind of start working together in terms of what they're going to do. I think that's very positive in where we're going now. And I think recruiting is no longer about finding talent. The talent's there. We're just about keeping it now.
Yeah. I think with the way we are with HBCU football now, I agree. Uh I just remember when I first started covering HBCU football. I remember from where it was when I first started. When I first started, it was only, man, you didn't have HBCU Go. Um, you didn't have SWAC TV. You didn't have. I mean, you had the Celebration Bowl, but it was
Mhm.
like with the Celebration Bowl, you spent half of the broadcast introducing HBCU the school to folks. The you spent half the broadcast
That's right.
saying what the
Interviewing.
school is, interviewing the people.
That's right. Interviewing the people. I can't watch football because I'm watching the dean of students and the royal court and everybody else. I mean, it's just the members, and it's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't about football, but now it's about the sport.
Right.
When you watch it, they treat it like a regular football game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've got real analysts, you got real commentators. I remember back when I first started covering this, man. You sit there and you watching the games, and you like, Jesus Christ, can you get his name right? Can you call it the right guy?
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
or you be like, okay, hey, can we get like on the replay? Can we get some proper analysis on this? How about you talk about, what was happening? The back coming out of the backfield. What was he look? What was the reads? What was the progressions? Now you're getting a lot of those different things. Before it was, well, let's just get a game in an NFL stadium. Let's get a bunch of folks. The bands will play. The culture of it, and the celebration of it has not changed. It's just now you've got the support of the celebration,
That's
which
right.
is the biggest difference. And
That's right.
also,
Shout out to the commissioners of all
yeah,
four conferences. I think they're doing a great job of, some people might, it's like mass cooking. You can't please everybody, but I think they're all doing overall collectively a great job of leading their prospective, conference, and also doing a good job of thinking about the HBCU culture as a whole unit.
yeah, yeah. So I think we're in good hands. I love it. I love where we are. I think it's gonna be real cool. Now, I gotta get you. I gotta get you on. Gotta get you on this here, man, because there's a I got to get you here. We got to go through some of these teams real quick. Now we'll just flip through them. You tell me a few words. Tell me some words about each of the teams. I'm gonna run through the MEAC and the SWAC real quick. I got all these schedules here. I'm gonna run through it. You tell me basically what you think of some of these teams. Okay, so A&M, you know Coach Shade. You coached against them. You know them. Last year was a tough year for them, 4-8. But second year, what do you think?
I think he'll be much improved. He's a guy that know how to self-evaluate. He will go in, and I think he's made some of the necessary changes that he needed to make in order for to give himself a chance to be successful. I think he's going to do a great job. I'm a fan of Sam Shade. I mean, all the way back from his playing days to the fact that I got to coach against him. I think he's a tremendous mind, and I think he got a lot of bright, coaches around him that could help him get to that point. I think this year's football is going to be a huge toss up because you don't actually, as in major college football, they keep up with a lot of who's transferring, who's there, who's left, the whole nine. I think in HBCU sports now you just kind of gotta wait till the team show up and see who's there, and then now you can start making your predictions like after the first or second week because you don't know who's on the team and you don't know what they got.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
All
fair
right.
enough?
Yeah, very fair. Okay, Jackson State. You know TC Taylor real well.
I do. I think TC gonna do TC, and I think he's got he's probably the fan favorite. He's always Jackson State, just gonna always Jackson State. They're gonna have what they got, and people are showing up. And I think since the prime era, it's just been a buzz about Jackson State, and I think TC did a great job of carrying that momentum over, actually pushing it above. He won the championship, put them where they had to be, and I think that it's just gonna be who they're gonna be.
Look at Doc said we going 11-0. Okay. Hey,
Okay, I don't. What team what team is he? Jackson State?
yeah.
Well, you can't the blue bingers, they them bigger tight, they don't play by damn school, so
Yeah. Okay. FAMU, man. Hey, another guy you know well, man. Quinn Gray coming from Albany State.
I think Quinn's going to do an excellent job. Quinn has invested interest in FAMU. It's kind of like my interest was in Stillman. You want to do well when you go home, and he got called home, and I think he's working his tail off to get to where he's trying to go. Again, it's a fact of how many players came, how well they gel together, and what they look like when you get them there. As far as play calling as a coach, there's not a guy out there that don't match with him and Willie Simmons. And I mean, he's shown that he's got diversity and what he does. He go out formation you. So it's going to be tough to stop him. I just know he's going to have it together. I believe it's going to be a really good season for him. I think he's going to do better than most people think he's going to do.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Valley. And this is the second year with Coach Buckley, man. Valley you said it earlier in the program. It's a little bit difficult down there. What do you think about him in his second year though?
It's tough. I think that he got all the energy. We're gonna see. Like I said, it's almost with them. You just say we're gonna see. I don't never count Valley out, but I don't know. It's never been. It's not easy to predict what's gonna happen there because again, that's even worse to say you don't know who's there.
Mm-hmm.
Did they
Mm-hmm.
get lucky? Did they find
Mm-hmm.
another Rembert? Did they find a Nathan Rembert? Did they find a guy who could be that electrifying player for them? The jury's still out for me on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I'm rooting
I
for
love
Buckley.
Yeah, I love Buckley. I love him, man. He great guy. You can tell he's passionate. He's a Mississippi guy. We'll see, man. It's just tough.
That's
All right.
tough.
Yeah. All right. This is the team that a lot of people are believing that, hey, it's either now or never to win the East. Alabama State,
I
man.
agree. I agree. It's either now or never. They got the guy back, body's back. They got a chance to be somewhat good, and you know, if I was a Bama State fan, I'm licking my chops to say this is our year here. I'm calling Wayne and talking trash a little bit. so, so they might be sitting in boxes or whatever. That's how it works. I mean, I don't know what Coach Robinson got going on down there, but according to I'm a fan now. I'm not a coach now. I'm a fan. It's time to play now, baby.
Yeah, that's it.
It's kind of like coaching Jackson State. It ain't a hope we win. They expect to win.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, man. All right. Bethune-Cookman, man, Coach Woody. Hey, look, you got a victory on this field. I still remember the video, man. Oh my gosh, man, that was one of the greatest. That was one of the greatest videos and even sound bites, man, of that entire year. That 55-yarder going through them uprights.
I don't think Coach Woody thought it was going to happen, and I think Coach Woody is an excellent man. I think he's done a really good job of recruiting. Um, he's another one of those coaches in that position that he's in a do or die moment. It's either got to happen or it's probably going to be the end of the road. So regardless of the labor pains, you know how it goes. That's what they do, and that's what it is. And he got a tough one, and it's just a matter of who shows up. And again, that's what I can say. I don't know enough about them to speak on him. I just know he does a really good job in recruiting, but it's gotta show up this year.
Yeah, because especially when you win 6-6, everybody expects you to take a step forward from 6-6.
That's right. It got to be 7 or 8 wins here. We got to be in the talk about playing for the championship.
Right. That's right. Okay. Marshall Faulk taking over at Southern. What you think about that?
Whew. I have my feelings about Southern is a great place. You get what I'm saying? Like it's got a lot of tradition. It's not lived up to its standard. And I guess I'm a fan of Terrence. I thought he did a really good job. And he had just made it to the championship the year before. And I think he loved Southern enough that he did, and it just didn't work out for him. I think that he's a guy who's got to prove a lot. I think Southern coach now, he got to prove a lot, in my opinion, because he's very highly paid, and they brought him in there, and he got a nice staff that he brought there. So I'm thinking they fan base and their investment that they invested in him, they're gonna be expecting to show up, and they like Jackson State. They want to play for the championship, and I think that's why they made the investment that they made, and I think he got to know that they made that investment for a reason.
Yeah.
They want to win.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Alcorn, man. Coach Thomas.
I think it's another one of those teams that's in a do or die situation. He's gonna have to, he's got to show that it's improved, and that's not my opinion. That's just the reality of what we live in, and he has to know that. His staff has to know that. Everybody got to know he got a chance to. I mean, he got teams like North Alabama on that schedule. He got Arkansas Baptist, which is not a bad little team. The people just because it's Arkansas Baptist, they're not a bad little team, and it could come in there and embarrass you if you're not focused for homecoming. So I think that. You got teams like Texas Southern who's in like that same heat of the battle. I mean, I got to win. So you talking about when you got teams, Grambling State, I got to win. You get what I'm saying? Perry View is a color of Mississippi Valley. He got to win. So those games go mean something. Florida A&M, he got something to prove. Southern coach got something to prove. Jackson State, that's a lot of heat that you got to come with. And I'm rooting for said. That's a lot of heat to come with there now.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough schedule, man. That's tough.
And you fool around and let Miles come in there now. They get good kids there. I had to face them a couple times. And a side note here, Miles College is the only team in the SIAC that I've never beat.
Interesting.
I've never beaten Miles College in my whole career. That's the only team in the SIAC to beat all the Blue Bloods, Tuskegee, Albany State, but Miles College is not a team I've never won. I mean, it's almost like a curse of mine.
Yeah, you're right, man. Oh wow, yeah, you're right, Dave. Said tough schedule.
That's a tough schedule right now.
And he said North Alabama not a slouch, especially that game at North Alabama. That's the opener of their new stadium.
Wow,
brand new stadium there in Florence.
What odds? I mean, this is like I said, it's the do or die year. I believe in if I'm looking at it right, say they're gonna have to show up, and that's a tough schedule to have to show up at.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely gonna sit down with him next week, and we gonna talk about it in Birmingham.
Whew.
Yeah, Grambling, man. You talk about another prove it, man.
And he got a tough schedule as well too. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, he got Clark Atlanta first, and I'll say this: Clark Atlanta is not gonna go in there. Coach Sims is a really good football coach. I've always respected him and what he brings to the table. He got the number. He got a lot of guys that's been in the SWAC that came from Alabama State and other places with him. So I think they'll have Clark in a position to be able to compete at least against that Central State. I think that they've done a really good job of recruiting from what I've been able to notice. So that's another team you cannot sleep on. As y'all saw, Kentucky State winning there last year, and Kentucky
Yeah.
State was a really good football team. And I would say Central State was knocking on that door. He just needed a few more pieces. Then you got to think about he got to go to TCU. Then he
Mm-hmm.
got Perry View. Then he got Alcorn. They both in a prove it down. Then he got Jackson State, which that's what it is. Alabama A&M. He's one of those guys that's going to show up, and I believe Sam Shade will have Alabama A&M fighting. And then you got Texas Southern a fight. Pine Bluff. I don't know. Let's throw that up in there, Bethune-Cookman. But that schedule's tough for him as well. And those first two games are not a gimme. And
Right.
I think sometimes people look up and say, okay, I'm playing two Division two teams. Well, we're not that far off from each other. I tell people that all the time. They're not, our talent level is not as a big difference, especially not a school like Clark Atlanta and Central State. Central State get a lot of good football players in that Ohio area that if the right coach is recruiting it, they got good football players on there. They tough every year.
Yeah, yeah. Mickey Joseph, man, a lot is expected at Grambling because
But,
they coming up on 10 years without winning the SWAC West title.
I know Eddie Robinson is rolling in his grave.
Prairie View, the defending champions, man. Your boy Tremaine Jackson.
He's going to have them ready to play. I'm a believer of Tremaine Jackson. I just think that everything he's gonna do, he's gonna talk that talk, he's gonna walk that walk, and he got a tough schedule. Tarleton State is no walk in the park. Baylor ain't gonna be no walk in the park, but he has that mentality regardless of who he gonna play, who he gonna show up against, and he's playing those teams because now he's gonna be able to recruit to that level of those players because he's gonna be able to tell them kids we gonna play Baylor. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
play. We got East Texas A&M on there. We got Tarleton State. So he want to win that Texas State. Those schools that he can play in there. He want to make sure that they don't go to those schools. They come to Prairie View. So if he
Mm-hmm.
playing those schools, he get a chance to be there, and some of their kids gonna want to come. I like the mentality that he got and the mindset that he has of why he doing what he doing.
I
But
do
I
too,
got my
man.
own. I got my own that game that he played in Dallas against Grambling. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be a better game. It's gonna be a really good game.
Yeah, I like that game against SFA, man. Stephen F. Austin, because Stephen F. Austin, they won the Southland last year.
But coach,
Be
that's the mentality you want. Those are the teams he's recruiting against. Those are his competition. Those are the guys that he want to bring in. Like I say, it takes what it takes. And if you want to get those players to come and not go to those schools, and Prairie View is a beautiful school. So he got things that he can lure those kids to come to Prairie View. So that's why he want to play against them and show that he can play football against them.
yeah.
Regardless of who you play against on Saturday, Wayne, you got to show up and play, regardless of who that opponent is. When we
That's right.
played Valdosta, I used Valdosta this year as an example. They won the Gulf South and got a little far in the playoffs. But we only lost by 3 points. But everybody was saying not to play them. But I wanted to play them because Clark Atlanta, in a normal day, our black schools would have got beat by 60. But we went
Mm-hmm.
out there and we went toe-to-toe with them. Went down to the last play with them. And that's the mentality you want to build in your program.
Yep. I get it, man. I love it. UAPB, man, your boy Alonzo Hampton, man, he been fighting, but
He the luckiest. I guess he's been. I mean, you see good players, man. He got talent on the field. You can see it. It's there, but it just hadn't equaled the wins.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know what to say about him. That's tough there now.
yeah, man. Starting off with Morehouse.
And I will say this here, and I beat them 2 times, but I will say Morehouse is not somebody you can sleep on. And I like they new coach that they hired. I'm starting to like where he came from, what his mindset is, and he kind of just do work. And I like him. I think it's going to be a competitive year for Morehouse.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Then Chris Dishman.
I don't know. That's going to be tough too, Coach. He in that. I think he in his third. Is his third year?
His third
Is his
year,
third?
yeah.
Is it do or die for him as well?
They went 6-5 last year. That was their first winning season in 25 years. So the
Okay.
expectations are going high.
Okay. Wayne Cartwright and his friends is saying that you better win 8 games, and we need to see. We need to see. We need to be mentioned in the SWAC championship. I mean, we need to be talked about up until week 8, saying that we are a contender. Maybe we might not make it because Alabama State came and knocked us out, but we need to be mentioned in that right there now. It's going to be tough.
He said, "Are they really starting McCoy?" Hey, look, man, you'll find out against North Carolina Central if they starting McCoy, man. Because if I was to even ask Chris Dishman next week, there is not a chance he's answering that question. So,
Wow.
yeah, not a chance. All right, Trey Oliver, man.
I think he's gonna have a really good team if they play anywhere to the level and he was able to retain the kids that he retained last year. But the key is gonna be who gonna call offensive plays. He lost Matt Leone to
Yeah,
Tennessee State.
he's got Chris Barnett. He came over from Alabama State. Now he's there. He's their offensive coordinator now.
And that is just imagine who feels that shoes and how well he does. And I think if that happens, then they got a chance to be great as they always do. I'm a fan
Yeah,
of Trey Oliver.
yeah, I am too. Yeah, Matt Leone, man, going to Tennessee State, man, that was a good get
Yes.
for
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 Reggie
Reggie
Barlow.
Barlow. Good get. But yeah,
I
this
mean,
will be good.
the coaches get in the portal too. He must have offered him a nice check to go.
Yeah, man, Dennis Berry going for the three-peat.
1-0 every week.
Yep,
That's the
you want to
mindset.
go 1-0
One
every week.
and I promise you, I guarantee you, we're gonna read a 30 for 30 one day, and it's gonna say surviving Chennis Berry. So the mindset that they have there, I guarantee it's driven into them, and they work to get to where they got to go. And I see some of his shorts and his reels and different things that he does. I just like him as a coach. He's an O-line coach, and you can hear it in his talk, in his tone. So everything's about driving somebody and getting them where you got to go. And you don't want to hear no excuses. He want to run the ball. He want to win the line of scrimmage. And I think he's just built that in his whole team. And I respect the man, and I think he's going to do a great job as always.
Yeah, I do too. Uh Damon Wilson, it's getting late there in Morgan State, man, up there in Baltimore.
I think he in the midnight hour, but I'm a Damian Wilson fan. I like Coach Wilson. When he was at Bowie State, he was tremendous, and I think that I wouldn't judge him based off what happened at Morgan because Morgan's been a struggle place for a long time. It ain't like it's been. I think he's been holding in the road and doing the best he could with it. His defense has done well.
Mm-hmm.
Since he's been there, he just have not been able to find a matching offensive stick to go with it. And if that happens for him this year, he might have a chance to be able to pull up a few upsets this year.
Yeah. Interesting going to Arizona State. Gonna get a nice little check.
Well, that goes to that infrastructure and that gap for resources. We got to go out here and get it.
Mm-hmm. Got to get it. Michael Vick, man, was 1-11 last night. It was the weirdest 1-11 you will ever see. Them boys have leads in like 5 games, but they couldn't get out of their own way, coach. Penalties and all that.
That's a team that I said suffer from lack of discipline. When you really look at that team and you saw the talent and the level that they played at, and you see them, they almost had a chance they could win, and then you look up and they be like, well, what happened? Like, how did
Mm-hmm.
they lose that? Well, if you get three penalties back to back to back, and you started out on the 20, you at the 20 in the position to score, and now you back on the 45, and you be like, Jesus, how we get three penalties in a row? It's if they can get out of their own way and play with a tremendous amount of self-discipline, I could see them winning maybe five of those games they got on that schedule. But Old Dominion's not gonna be no Virginia. They at Virginia. They got Robert Morris. South Carolina State. North Carolina Central. Those are tough games for them now. I don't care who it is. Them teams show up every year. Winston Salem. I don't know who they're gonna be, but last year they were pretty good, but they done dismantled a little bit, so we don't know who they're gonna be. Those games are not guaranteed to them. And I tell people all the time in the Division II level, because of the new disparity, they got a lot of kids that fell down that's going to be really fresh and kids that got a lot of playing experience. So you opening up a season with a team, and I like to tell fans that because they don't know. They thinking, oh, we're going to blow the brakes off that team. Not too fast, my friend, because you don't know what that team returning and who they may have inherited.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So it'll be pretty interesting. I know Mike Vick, man. Once it got towards the end of the season, he just was like, man, let's just get this over with. Let's get to the off season, because he had been through it. He aged a lot last year. So
well, you see it as a coach. I tell you, we all go through it.
Yep. Ted White taking over, another alma mater guy taking over Howard Bison.
I don't know much about. I've heard of him, and I think he got a couple guys up there that I know. But Howard's going to be Howard, and I think that as long he's been a part of that program for a while. He was on the staff, right? So I think that they'll. I mean, so they got a lot of they probably retained a lot of kids. Howard's, so they're not going to have the kid that went to Howard. He went to Howard because he wanted to be the Howard. He didn't go to Howard just because he wanted to play football. He wanted to be a part of Howard. So that helps with their football retention a little bit. So it depends on how many he retained and how well they can put it all together. I think they'll have a good shot at being, at least 5. They'll win 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, at Indiana. At Indiana, at Rutgers, back to
that's
back.
a check. That's where your schedule gets bad. Richmond, Indiana, and Rutgers. After you play you guys, then you got three games there that could ruin your whole season, and then you got to go to Penn. But those are money grab games.
Yeah, interesting. And then you've got Coach Deshaun Jackson, man, second year with Delaware State.
I think that he's the wild card. It depends on how many kids he stole from California to bring over there. Because I mean, he had a nice little roster, and the coaches he brought with him did a really, really good job. I'm just my hands up in there. I don't know what to say, what he gonna do, but I think he's. He got it. I mean, he talks that talk. He got it. I mean, he got the swag with him. And I think I think the thing that loomed over the locker room is what I'm more concerned about. Does he overcome the kids suing him, saying that they had a gang environment? Or do enough kids buy into that to cause all that type of what I call distractions in the program before we ever get to the program?
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, now a guy you know so well, Sean Gibbs, man, second year there at A&T.
The cards are stacked. That's tough. It depends, but I like Sean. Sean's gonna figure it out. Sean loves A&T. Let's just say that Coach Gibbs loves A&T. I think he bleed A&T. So I think that he's gonna somebody that has that type of love for that school, he's going to find a way to win because he don't want to be a failure. He came with the guys that really were winners there. I think it's going to take a lot longer than they think it's going to take. I don't think it's a one-way easy fix because that conference and the schedule that they're playing, it's going to take them some time to get where they got to be. Think about North Alabama when they made the jump to one Division I. I look at A&T as the same thing. They made a jump to a conference that they was not on that level yet. Even though they dominated for a while, now they got to make an adjustment to that level. And it's going to take the coach. Firing coaches and running coaches away don't necessarily create stability in a program. Sometimes that coach may be one. And I'll say when L.C. Cole got fired at Stillman College, I inherited a lot of good players, even though they went 3-7 the year before. I inherited a lot of good players. So in terms with me adding the right pieces and being able to evaluate the roster that was there and figuring out what pieces I needed, I was able to turn that 3-7 team into a 7-4 team. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying about there. If they can show some improvement and show that they're growing, that's how you evaluate what a team like that of where they're going. You just got to give them time to catch up with the people in their conference. But
That's right.
re-switching it and changing the stuff over every year, in my opinion, doesn't do any good because now you're just resetting it.
Yeah. And you probably could say the same thing here with Van Malone taking over at Hampton.
That's correct. That would be the same way. I would say the same thing about them. They need to let somebody get some type of stability. But you understand what I'm talking about when I say in terms of stability. I'm meaning in terms of you got to let coaches grow there. But you got to be able to measure them not by necessarily wins. How well are they getting? Is it getting organized? Are they playing at a high level? Are the kids still bought into being who they are? They're not just going out there getting whooped 60-0 every weekend. You can see where there's growth. And I think that's how you evaluate a coach when they put in situations like their institutions decided to do that. You just can't just go fire them and think, okay, we got 3 years. Now I'm going to reset the cycle again and give another coach 3 years and then next cycle again. But we still ain't showed no improvement because there's no stability been set within the organization.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Tennessee State.
Whew. I think that they're gonna fight. I think that Barlow got a guy that can call plays, and I think his defense is gonna do really well as well. I think they're gonna show up now. I think they're gonna show up. I think he knows that he wants to be good, and Tennessee State's always been pretty decent in a lot of areas. And I think that they just got to show up. And I think he got some good coaches. I think his
Yeah.
staff is tremendous. I think that's what's gonna make the difference. That his staff, he got a really, really good staff.
Yeah. Well, Coach, this has been great, man. I've enjoyed this entire time with you. You gave some really, really wonderful nuggets. Those that joined late, make sure that you go back and you watch this episode, man. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about recruiting. We talked about the realities of just the realities of coaching, realities of our programs in football, man. Coach, I know you've got your program. Tell the folks, man, about your podcast.
Oh, I got the TM Be the Reason. Teddy Keaton Show. It's Be the Reason. That's what I started. I started a brand called Be the Reason. Everything about us is about Be the Reason. Be the Reason is why somebody grow. Be the reason why somebody be special. And I just talk about leadership and different things that we expect people to grow with. And I love it. You can find it on YouTube. You can follow me, Keaton.Teddy on Instagram and Teddy Keaton on Facebook. And basically you can just click on and you'll see my info there. And we just like to go out and do what we do. We just talk like Wayne talk. Now I'm what you call I'm on the IRL list. I'm just out there. I'm on I don't know what they call it when you're a coaching waiting over there somewhere, waiting to hope to get hired somewhere next year. And I'm just being a fan now.
Yeah, well, man, there's a lot of love that people have for you here in the comments. Um, people were saying, that they would love to see you in the SWAC. you know, and some people said that, it right here it said I want to see Coach Keaton in the SWAC soon. So that's one.
Thank you.
Coach Keaton would be great at a SWAC or a MEAC institution. So there's love. There's love here, man. And like I said, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. I'm so glad that we got to connect. And we definitely gonna connect some more. Because I know just the way we worked here, man, I got a feeling we gonna do some more work together.
I appreciate it. I'm available all season. I got nothing to do.
Well, Coach, here one more. He said, Coach Keaton, you brought in those Grayson kids, Miller and Meacham at Clark, and I knew you had them going in the right direction. Wish you had a chance to see it through. Yeah, but man, hey, he's still here, and he's got a chance to do some great things moving forward. But appreciate the love and appreciate everybody watching and supporting Coach Keaton, man, and supporting this show. So y'all make sure that y'all support Coach Keaton's show, Make sure y'all go get the likes up, get the subscribes up, tell folks about it. And, hey, coach is a free agent right now, man. You might see him show up at your ball yard, man, sitting in the stands, watching the game here on one of these Saturdays. So,
Absolutely.
coach. So, coach, I appreciate you, man, for jumping on, and we definitely gonna talk some more here in the future for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right. That's Coach Keaton. And listen, Sunday night I will be back. Got a very, very special show coming up on Sunday night. My guys from HBCU Go are gonna be on with me on Sunday night. And on that show on Sunday night, we're gonna talk about the HBCU Go schedule. We're gonna talk about that. We're going to talk about all the games that they have on the slate for this year. So I'm going to be joined by Steve Weiss as well as James Hadnot. So, I'm looking forward to those guys. Those guys will be on with me Sunday night. So look for that episode. We're going to go through it all. And then also following that, then I'm going to make the trip on down to Alabama. I'm going to be at SWAC Media Day on next week, Wednesday. Doing the interviews, asking questions. Y'all know how I do. And I'm going to have a show that basically I'm going to show all of those interviews, just like I did last year. And then we'll give some analysis and things like that. And then also, as we build up to the beginning of August, I'm going to be working on the preview show that I had last year. I did it with Blue, also did it with Zoe Phillips. I'm going to look to see about getting a couple other cast of characters involved with the preview show this year. We're going to do our predictions. Going to tell you about every roster. Going to tell you about the coaching changes. Going to tell you about the shifts. Going to talk about some of the key games. And then, Wild Wayne is going to make his predictions. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win the SWAC. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win the MEAC. I'm going to tell you about all those different things, man. So be on the lookout for that, man. It is such an exciting time of year. We are getting so close to the start of the 2026 season. I enjoy everything. I'm so grateful that everybody turned out tonight. Once again, if you just joined or you didn't have a chance to watch the first half of the show, make sure you go back and you do that because Coach Keaton was in his bag tonight. And also make sure you tell others about the show. Wild Wayne, the ride tonight. I appreciate y'all. I will see you on Sunday evening, 8:00 Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, for the HBCU Go preview show of their slate for 2026. God bless you. Good night.
Thank you for joining us on The Ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. As you exit the ride, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the like button, and catch up on all of our prior episodes. Until next time, God bless.